I got friend zoned for being a good guy.
I think that we need to like actually push for this thing.
I don't know if I fully agree.
I almost consider that to be like the very...
God, I miss Stubble. Cornwood, if there's anyone in this entire police department who I would love back tomorrow or yesterday, it would be Stubble. He
But
is
the
what
other
I would
corners,
call
try
a
and
perfect
come up here.
balance. He's just a good guy.
I got friend zoned for being a good guy. Sorry, that's outburst. Intrusive thoughts. Anyway.
Wait, who friend zoned you?
No, don't worry about it.
No, hold on. This is baggage. I love baggage. What's up?
No, it's okay. It's honestly okay. It's just, you know, personal life seeping into work life.
From one hoe to another, I would love to relate. I'm so close to like cracking the case on you and your like internal baggage.
No,
so
it's
close.
just, it's not that big of a deal.
So what topics of discussion have I walked into?
Sheriff's office, though.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why I'd be giving feedback for this. I'm the chief of police.
I love asking people questions. I love asking people to answer questions that they should not have answers to. Just see how they respond.
Oh yeah.
We were talking about basically the plan. Seeing as how we're gonna have an academy in 3 to 4 weeks, I think that we need to like actually push for this thing. Because I think having another academy, especially if it's a big academy, without the sheriff's office being open.
Well, there's gonna be a big academy for like the later shifts, but not for now.
Well, regardless, right? I think if this thing gets presented at city council and it passes, it's approved, then they have to decide how they want to do an election. Okay, whether it's the city, state, whatever, they can decide how they want to do an election. From there, they you actually have the election. Once you have the election, then it's the sheriff's job to put everything together, right? So that's a 3-week process before the office is open. Because I think realistically, you have your sheriff, and then the sheriff is going to need a week to put all the pieces in place. Like, let's say tomorrow they're like, hey, let's open up the sheriff's office. Then that's 3 weeks. Am I wrong? They pass it, decide to have an election. Then week 2, you'd have, so you'd go, probably within the week, they'd start the election. And then, so it's like, let's say 10 days after. Then you have your sheriff.
I feel like
right?
the election would go for like 2 weeks. To allow people to like campaign and like build stuff up.
For the sheriff's office, a new department opening up, I could see that being 2 weeks.
I mean, think about how long people ran for mayor. Think about how long the city council thing has happened.
Oh, okay, so
Or the
I see what you're
city
saying.
oversight board, like.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Civilian oversight they didn't know for sure it was going to be a thing until like a week ago, right? Or 2 weeks ago.
I think so, yeah.
And then they had they opened up the elections. I was thinking about the actual voting time.
Could I suggest something too? How do we feel about readiness for a new department? Because I do think that we can open the sheriff's office without having the department yet.
So here's the problem with that. That's how I felt for the longest time, but it truly does not make sense to open the office without opening the department unless there's like a middle ground. You have just the sheriff and you're not doing the split, and then you're doing a slow build up. So now the office is open, you can process people there, you can work out of there, you can do all that. So I think as far as numbers go, there's a lot of talk about stability, numbers, this, that, yada, yada, yada. I feel like that people are too scared to say it because they don't want to look like they're jumping the gun or being impatient, but I think it's pretty damn clear we're ready.
I don't know if I fully agree.
Because think about it this way. It's not about numbers, it's about coverage, right? How often do you go and you arrest somebody in Sandy, you arrest somebody in Polito, you arrest somebody out hunting, and then you have to go all the way down to MRPD to process. Then you got to drive all the way back up to get back on patrol, right?
I don't disagree with that part. Yeah.
Let's say you're out patrolling up here. Hey, I'm out of IFAX. Now I got to drive all the way back down to MRPD. Now I got to drive all the way back up. So, even having that office open with only a sheriff at first, and then the slow build up, it's going to add to the amount of coverage that you can have with less units, while also kind of slow roll building out the sheriff's office the right way, instead of just, hey, half you guys are going to the sheriff's office and half you guys are going to the LSPD. And I think truly that it's not even the best. I think it's the only way to go about it, because it increases our efficiency and productivity by a very, very large amount by just having the office open.
That's where I'm at. I think the office needs to be open. As for the department, it's not even that I'm afraid to say it, truly how I feel. I'm going to defer to you, Beric, on this. What's going on with training and FTO for shift 1? I'm going to ask 3 questions. You don't have to be detailed with this. Just
I already talked about it, like the big academy. That's pretty much the plan.
yeah.
And then
So
after
right now,
that,
shift 1.
then by the
Sorry,
time
go ahead.
that's over, we can have kind of like a more streamlined recruiting and hiring process.
The way that I see it, in maybe this is just the vision that I have, the streamlining that I see right now is not top down, looking at it from bottom up. As soon as we can have the cogs turning from the cadet level, where we can start getting a system going, which I think this academy is going to probably do based on the way that I'm hearing it, because I think shift 2 is pretty consistent. Shift 3 and 1 are about to get a pretty big jump. I think after or during this academy is going to be when we start seeing all wheels in motion.
But that's at that point we're looking at 2 more months.
What do you mean?
Because if we wait until after that academy, you see what I'm saying?
Where are you getting 2 months from? I think maybe that's where I'm confused.
Because I am fully under the impression that, hey, we're gonna open up the sheriff's office. It's minimum 3 weeks at that point.
I think, damn, I don't know. This may be a hot take, or maybe I'm not seeing it the same way. The only thing I'm gonna ask is, what's to say that we won't hear about the sheriff's office until it's ready? In other words, instead of it being approved and there being a wait process, what's to say that they're just, you know, whoever's going to be renovating or building up and making that vote, what's to say that when it's ready, we'll know. And by that point, there won't be any wait time. You get what I'm saying?
So you're saying, well, I mean, if you have to have an election, all that shit, right? And we're looking at, let's say, 10 to 14 days for an election. Is that reasonable? So you have campaign time, voting time, all that.
You could probably say that, yeah.
So at that point, you have, first off, it's okay, we're going to start now. We're going to do it. We're going to announce that we're good to go. So then you have 10 to 14 days on top of that. And then after that, you probably have about another week or so to make sure, hey, these are uniforms. This is, hey, let's take a look at the office. I want this building, you know, let's put another sign up here. Let's do this. You know, I'm trying to establish the culture in this building. Okay. So I don't like that sign. What the hell does that say? Let's take that shit down. You know, just like a new football coach comes in, is, you know, he tears everything up. You know, some of the things, I mean, fortunately, I like most of the things in there, but, you know, then you have about a week there of that whole process, and that whole, you know, the building of that storyline while you're trying to go through and also pick out certain folks, a very small number of folks to actually pull over there. I think there's a fine line between, you know, the excitement and the morale building of all that sort of storytelling, and the for lack of a better term, I guess cautiousness of making sure everything's good on one end. I think if we make sure things are good while we're building up, it's not going to do anything to harm what's already there.
See, and this is sort of where I'm at, and maybe we can agree to disagree. I don't think there's such a thing as a department being too late. I do think that there is such a thing as a department being too early, though. And I'm not saying it's too early now, but you get what I'm saying. If we're too early with this, then, you know, there's chances of issues coming up. The way I see it is, once a department is established, and assuming that the sheriff's office is going to be working in conjunction with the parent department, which is going to be the LSPD, we need the LSPD to be in a more functional spot. And I think we are weeks away from that being the case. I think consistency across shifts is going to be one of the bigger factors to that. As for the wait time and the vote process, I mean, Beric, you would probably have more to say on this, but I do think once we're at that point, then I do think that we're going to be in a better spot to be more open to that discussion, right? Maybe I'm wrong. I could be dead wrong. You could be 1,000% correct. The way I see it, consistency across all shifts would at least show the process functioning in its proper form like it should. And at that point, to be able to flesh out from there, I think is where the value comes in. But if we go too early, then now we're juggling a new department, and we're juggling how to keep things consistent from our parent department, which would be the LSPD.
Sure, but if you just open it with just the sheriff is what I'm talking about. Because really, I mean, we all know it. There's a number of folks that want to come up north. If for nothing, it's not necessarily about getting out of the city for everybody. Some folks, that's just part of who they are, right? They want to wear that sheriff's badge. So it's going to be both part of the struggle of building out the sheriff's office and a part of the excitement Because if you open up the sheriff's office with only one sheriff, and then from there the sheriff slow roll starts building people out, that is going to be part of the struggle of telling people, hey, just hold your horses. Okay, we're slow rolling people in here.
I don't know. It's hard. I almost consider that to be like the very tippity top, in my opinion, because what he did or what they created was very successful. And in some ways, you can look at it as possibly not being, but it was. It was the biggest department, especially like post restructure.
I would argue it was the best for morale as well.
Oh yeah, without question. They were not people that were down in the dumps like at any point in time. It was never like people. Well, maybe Silas.
But here, so I'm like I said, this is kind of just the way that I see it. I think like we all know there's folks that are gonna want to be a part of the sheriff's office that are already a part of the LSPD.
Absolutely,
yeah.
I want to.
One thing that I don't agree with, and I never have. I know it's how it goes, but I remember people, they're a cadet for 6 months. I'm like, holy shit. I mean, come on now. I mean, how are we going to have somebody be a cadet for 6 months? How are we going to have somebody be, hell, more so it was like, you'd be dispatched for 6 months until you can finally get an interview and get hired for the PD, and then you're a cadet for like two months. I mean, it's just like, holy shit. I think things need to move way faster in general. It's just crazy.
That's the problem. And we are not the first people to sit in a circle and debate this topic. We will not be the last.
You're right.
Because it is like,
it's an age-old question.
Ruby and I literally talked about this like hours ago in terms of like how much opportunity do you want to give somebody before it's just like they're not going to learn and you have to get rid of them. And it's really difficult for me because when we find these people that I think are great fits to be here and be a part of this department, but just can't grasp the police work side of things and they take longer, it's just,
this is still a problem. I feel like our entire process of how this is done it's ancient.
And I agree with you, but what is the alternative?
So here's what let's say I'm in charge of our entire training.
This is going to be like an 8-hour conversation, by the way.